Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to all those people out there who are regular viewers of our channel. Probably should pop on over and make sure that the channel is loaded. I didn't even do any of that here. I'm just sort of flying by the wire, hoping that... Oh, look at that. And YouTube even kicked me out. Oh, let's see. Now I have to try and figure out how to get back in here. What a mess. You're around here somewhere. There you are. Let's see if it'll let me load in. How am I going to make this 10 minutes if I spend the first 5 minutes just trying to get YouTube loaded? I don't know. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. Yep, there you go. And thank heavens we got the Kavarkanator around. The, what do we have to call you? The Duke of, how does it go again? Berkey, right? Duke of Berkey? Give me a bling if I said that right.
What do we have to call you? The Duke of...
hey, there's a bling.
Berkey.
So, the Duke of Berkey is kicking butt here this morning. Anyway, I mean, as you can tell, I'm in a bit of holiday mode right now. It was really an odd start to the daily brief today, but it's Christmas, so... Spent a great day with the boy yesterday. We'll literally finish this and then head off and spend today. Today's actually a holiday here in Canada. It's called Boxing Day. So you can actually see a lot of these sort of Commonwealth countries around the world have this holiday. The London market, UK's I think closed. So now I got the hiccups. Very thin trade. But it's interesting how it's still continuing this sort of one-directional move here. Stocks enjoying further bid, and I think I saw the headline today, NASDAQ hits 9,000, so big psychological level hit there. Oil up, hell, even Bitcoin's up. It's a miracle. But at the same time, too, we've got gold face ripping up, and I think that's sort of a continuation trade of Friday's action. Remember, we had told you to keep an eye out for that 15 and a quarter area, 15.20 area. And not really too surprising, they actually used the holiday thin trade event to launch the market up into that level, and then that's resistance. And so we'll see when the retail investor comes back tomorrow, and really probably Monday. Whether there's any appetite for retail to buy, and they'll just be buying right up against the top end of a range here, which usually isn't a good thing to do. But something that kind of jumps out at me that's a little bit concerning, and I don't know whether it's a short-term anomaly or not, but you've heard Brian squawk in the past about yen gold. And I'm a little perplexed here this morning because I have the Japanese yen actually heading lower. Remember, we've talked about this really odd-looking price action here on the yen, heading lower here this morning, and yet there's gold's blow-off top here this morning. Interesting, too, we do have the potential for an outside-upside reversal here in the bond market, and you can see that they're continuing to catch a bid here this morning. So I'm not quite sure exactly who's right here, and I'm a little worried that, seeing this kind of action in the gold market, that's kind of the hallmark of the end of the move, when prices just move violently in one direction. Could we get a little bit further traction up into 61.8s, tops of channels, previous trendline resistance? Sure. And like I said, what we might find happen is the gold pops up into this area, might even gap higher tomorrow, right? And so then retail investors are going to be like, well, do I go and buy gold? Everybody loves gold, and they're going to be buying way up here, and then they bring the market back down to fill in gaps and stuff to the downside. If this is the top, and, no way of knowing if it is or isn't just here in the short term, but if it is, you can see reload zone, channel bottom, trend line support, gaps. Our buy window on gold right now is 1460 up to 1470 and change. And like I said, I'm a little bit leery of what's going on here, considering the way the yen is acting. There's some sort of disconnect going on here, and I wouldn't infer too much out of what you're seeing here in the gold market, other than I have a feeling this is a thin session. People want to say that they have gold on the books heading into the year end. So just be careful, and for heaven's sakes, don't chase, right? You're not allowed to chase. Our gold stock index is interesting to see gold stocks actually putting in a nasty little doji top up here. Barrick, of course, is closed. Canada market is closed. We could pull up the ABX chart there in the States. What the hell's the damn symbol, though? Barrick. Barrick. Oh, they got the symbol gold. Oh, fancy schmancy. So you can see they gapped it higher, and actually it's still up on the day, but coming now into resistance on the U.S. market. We're above value just looking at this particular range. So I don't know. I mean, Newmont, they've got their share repurchase program going. I think they're hell bent on sort of recapturing the biggest gold stock title. And I've said repeatedly recently, I did not like the idea of shorting the gold in here. But at the same time, too, can we chase? No, you missed the bus here if you're coming to the party now. And if anything, you got to let things sort of settle down. We're going to be heading into January barometer and all that kind of stuff. So, if anything, look to take profits on some sort of crazy blow-off tops up top, but you can't be a new buyer here. Kind of an odd start to the broadcast there. Sorry, everyone. But U.S. dollar index. I'm not quite sure what the heck they're doing with the index here. This might be sort of a restructuring event or something along those lines. I don't know whether they actually ran the stops on these or not. I don't know whether that's real or not. But this U.S. dollar index created by TradingView, so I don't even know if this is even followed in the market. We could maybe even look at like the U.S. dollar index futures. That probably would be smarter. They don't have that. So I think that's purely a function of TradingView. And actually, you know what? I'm probably smart for us just to watch this from now on. Risk on, risk off. Like I said, stocks right up at the top end of their range. 1 year anniversary of the absolute nutso meltdown we saw last year. And interestingly enough, the ultimate low here was actually put in on, what date is that? 26th. So how ironic. Here we are. 26th. 1 year later. Is this the top? Now that NASDAQ has hit its big, fat round number magnet of 9,000, interesting enough, when I look at the stocks, I don't think they're actually done. You can see that AB equals CD on NASDAQ still got a little ways to go here. This is the QQQs. Russell 2000 could still enjoy a bit of a pop here, and remember we've got January effect coming up here where small caps usually outperform larger caps, so we might see a bit of a pop there. Things like the S&P 500, I sold those puts at a loss because I had some capital gains that I needed to offset. So on balance, I'm hunting for that reason to go and strap those puts on, just, insurance purposes wise. But, we just moved to a new high. I don't have any sell signal there yet. There's the Dow Jones. It painted a new high, and it's going to try and paint a new clothesline high here. And the oil is just going absolutely parabolic. And like we sort of said before, kind of an interesting anecdote on a 1 year anniversary of the absolute panic dump there on the 26th of last year. So maybe that's kind of telling, the fact that the oil market is just gapping violently higher here. Oh, only time will tell. We'll see how it goes. I am hearing, it's fascinating because I'm hearing a lot of sort of Wall Street bulls, all that, getting all excited about oil and gold at the same time. I don't know. That's something doesn't sound right about that. Well, we'll see what happens. Stocks and oil continue working higher. There ain't a top until there is a top. But at the same time, too, we've got bonds now catching a little bit of a bid, gold going crazy, but then the yen is totally falling apart. Now, I wonder whether this is a bunch of sort of year-end position squaring. Like I said, holiday market, thin, very light trade. So I don't know if we can interpret too much into this action. I think I've been telling you guys recently, super on the buy side of what I would consider discounted names into year end. I like the idea of going and picking up stocks. Interesting. This SRAX is a blockchain related name. You can see that they've just literally done nothing but just brought the market right back down against its previous lows. And just for fun, I wanted to sort of learn a little bit more about this company. Went and found there was a research piece done, and I'm not quite sure who these guys are. The Wall Street Resource, and they're probably just some penny stock promotion firm. But they did an interview with there's this SRAX's CEO, Christopher Meglino. If I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, my apologies, sir. So I'm not quite sure if I can put this on the YouTube page or how this works, but you can see the address, the wallstreetresource.com /webcast. When I see this published later on, I'll just plunk that in there. But this was a really, really interesting interview. It's about a half an hour long. And I think, for those people that are crypto oriented and stuff, I really love what they're doing here, because they're going to be using blockchain. They have a token that's already up and running. I think they call it Big Token or Big Coin or something like that. And they have all the pieces in place to enable the consumer to monetize their personal information, make sure that it's accurate, and then once you're in the database, especially with all the European Union coming down hard on privacy, the consensus is that the American market will move towards that. I really like the idea that the consumer data, they are, if platforms and companies can build in this opt-in marketing idea, and consumers actually get rewarded with giving their information out, then those databases of that data become extremely valuable to the marketing industry. And they've done a couple offshoots of this idea, one in the pharmaceutical sector, and they just recently spun off their interest in that. They still have a minority stake for something like $50 million or something like that. They have another one running in the investor relations department. Sort of all of the things that we thought about in years gone by. How are companies going to leverage blockchain to improve efficiencies, to empower the consumer, to be able to protect their information, and connect this massive marketing machine to these databases of information? So I thought this was a really, really interesting interview. Full disclosure, we are accumulating this. We bought call options into the spring just because you can see where the 50% rule is. I mean, basically, that's and I was posting in the site today. I mean, this is such a great example of just sort of normal stock market seasonality. Normal stock market seasonality, where we're just going to buy when it snows, and we're going to look to sell when it goes, right? And you can see the buy when it snows kind of idea. In fact, this rally happened a little bit early. But I really do like names like this down here. Now, there's no guarantees in any of this. You all know that. Do your own due diligence. Do your own research. But this is definitely an name I'm super interested in down here. Continuing that stock market theme, I actually found a company that's listed both in Canada and in the U.S. This is the NASDAQ proxy, and everybody should look at this chart and go, yeah, I can understand why Beamish is interested in this. I mean, it's right down on its lows. What I love about this is, of course, share restructuring, kill the old shareholders, blah, 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 all that kind of talk, right? So they've completely washed it out, restructured the whole company. They've got a really interesting product that addresses the angina market and, of course, cardiovascular disease, which, of course, is still the number one killer here in North America. And they said their market is something like hundreds of thousands of new cases every year are diagnosed. And their product is on the forefront of servicing that angina market. So not only do I like this structure technically, does this thing have some room to come back? Yeah, of course. Obviously, when you look at a chart like this, the public's not going to be in the slightest bit interested. They're going to be like, this thing's dead. But, this is another thing. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not making any recommendations. I'm telling you, hey, this thing looks really interesting to me, and I'm buying some myself. So do with the information as you please. There's a couple names in the stock market. One that is blockchain related, one that's medical services related. Take your pick. Heading on over to crypto in particular. I think, heading into the end of the year here, I think it makes sense that we're seeing some sort of pivot bottom. We know that the halving event's coming up. On a higher time frame basis, green boxes, right? They're supposed to be like buying zones. So it shouldn't surprise us that there's some sort of bottom somewhere around down here. I mean, it's going to be one of these kind of things where, maybe you look back, a few years from now, kind of like this, where is the bottom? You look back 6 months later and you go, well, does it really make a difference where I had bought down here, just as long as I grab some? You want to wait for that W to come in to be assured that, yeah, this is the bottom. Okay, but you better be damn slick when you see a whole bunch of highs line up like this. You can see what happens when they break. Sometimes it can be violent and it doesn't look back. So I do like the idea of nanny nibbles just slowly accumulating at or below reload zones. Do we actually have an official turn? This thing has turned up and we are in a bull. Not yet. But should we be expecting some sort of turn in here? I think that just makes sense to me. There might be one more FU against these lows. You can kind of see the fractal. I would like to see almost like, so notice that this tail low here lines up nicely with these candle body lows. Maybe we even get something like a crazy FU candle right to begin the year. If that does happen and then we can turn back up and accept higher, well, then we've got a nice head and shoulders fractal to work with. So it's not really like we've turned back up. And of course, we've talked lots about this on the free shows and stuff. The weekly price charts are still, nothing to get excited about. The trend is down, trend is down, trend is down. Came into some really key levels. It's interesting to see how Ethereum just really can't get it out of its own way right now. Again, more sort of that tax loss selling kind of stuff. Bitcoin still seems to be, it's interesting how we lost this inside bar level and then quickly ratcheted right back up into the top end of the range. So we're kind of hovering around here. Maybe this carves out a really cool, inverted head and shoulders that takes us up into these areas up top here. But any kind of rally in earnest, you can see we've got massive moving average resistance. So this is, in my opinion, it's going to still take a lot more time to clean up. Higher time frames, kind of no man's land with the idea that nanny nibbles are acceptable now. Lower time frames, we just have fun trading the corn. If setups come in, great, we take them. If they don't, no big deal. This is trading leveraged, higher octane. This happens to be on Bybit. I just left the money I had on Bybit and I'm trading over here. I could move the money somewhere else if I felt like it. I'm a big fan of the old W. So, W comes in. Woohoo, I'm going to buy. I was shooting for Insano Nutso big bull runs up into 38.2s. You can kind of see that we sort of stalled in kind of a range here. This setup in particular, when I hit this level, I get to move my stop to scratch. And because I front run that trade, I actually, when she crapped out, I hopped off at a very small profit. But nonetheless, worked our way lower, came right back down into all these support lines, and then slowly but surely over the past 24 hours or so, we started Wing again. So, good old Brian, if I see W's, I'm going to start getting interested. So, in this particular case, this is what I call an El Tangonator setup. It's really just simply asking what's a 50% range of this dump, and if I go and buy the W and I look for 50% tag as my profit objective, does it produce better than a 2-to-1? In this case, yep. So I have my bullish divergence in MACD. Keep in mind, I'm operating off a very lower time frame, right? Got a couple W's working on RSIs, and Willie certainly not overbought here. We're right now at where are we here? Williams percentage R minus 31, so we still got a ways to go before we get overbought. I really did like the W and of course the volume breakout on that move, so I bought the W. What the hell. You can see where my profit objective is for 74.02. We hit a high here just 73.82, so another 20 bucks or so. On these setups, and actually our level 1 instructor really helped out a lot. We started including the idea of maybe working rules, kind of like the bot, if certain percentages of the moves get hit. What are some of the things that we can do to try and help reduce the anxiety of being in trades? And we've sort of collectively come to the conclusion that if you have 50% of the anticipated move hit, then you really don't want to see a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So at the very least, I'm just going to move my stop to where I entered the trade. And if this thing craps out like this, right, markets do crap out, then I'll just walk away. And in this case, actually, I even snuck in a little bit lower than the 28 breakout. So if I get stopped at scratch here, I'll make a couple bucks. We might even consider 2/3 of the position. Maybe I'll start trailing stops. I'll let this breathe a little bit. If we start emming out here in earnest, then maybe I'll just hop off. But I do like the idea of us revisiting, wicks and tails like to be eaten. There's a whole bunch of trap bulls up in here, and so it should make sense. Once we get up into this wick, all those trap bulls, they get released. So it makes sense that we're probably going to run into a bit of traffic up here. And then, of course, off of this lower time frame, what I'm really thinking here, and this would be sort of the bearish scenario that Bitcoin just sort of craps out here, is it looks to me like this is a big ass fractal here. So the left shoulder's there, neckline is we'll just go down here, heads up here. Back to our neckline, this actually might be a little bit dangerous for my little long here, because really we should have come back down to a horizontal level there. But I do like the idea of us rallying up into sort of that resistance point. Notice that that's the original breakdown level. It is this shoulder high, so clearly there's a lot of interest at this level. And if we change our 50% target objectives to things like reload zones, gee whiz, there's 61.8, Mountain Man sitting right there. So, I don't know. Once we get up into this kind of neighborhood, I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't need to be married to this position. I might just blow the whole thing out at that 50% objective, because that really was the trade setup, produced a nice 2.73 to 1. And you can see they're just sort of playing with the market. I would imagine this probably won't top out in earnest until we actually start seeing divergences develop up in here. So that's what I'd be expecting now. Now, having said that, this thing could just crap right out. And if we come back down to my entry, like I said, because of my rules and because of my trading plan, I just walk away. So that just sort of gives you an idea of what it is I'm looking at on the corn here this morning. And just to finish off this video here for you today. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Nope, that's not what I wanted. How can I get this over here? There we go. Julian, one of our site principals, came on the daily brief today. Thursdays is the baby powder report. And somebody asked us to take a look at Ethereum Classic. And I gotta say, he was pretty enthusiastic about his chart. And I got to say, W's in OBVs and W's in Willies and RSIs. And you can even see a W coming in here on MACD. This is a weekly price chart, remember. This is actually looking pretty compelling down here. And the cool part about this trade, in my opinion, is really what you're doing is this is one of these somebody does not want this thing to go through what is that, I guess about $3. So this is the kind of thing where I don't know whether 450 is the best level, but what would say a 2-to-1? Let's take this inside bar off of the weekly chart there, right? Let's say you're going to risk to that level. So that's down here. And you can see we almost got busted out, right? No. Oh, no, it's okay. And, let's maybe just do a 50% rule. Back up. Let's go against that high. There we are. So, in essence, all this is doing is saying we're going to go revisit all these highs up in here. That's a 5-to-1 risk reward. So, there's some really, really interesting ideas out there, guys. So get out there, build your plan, trade your setups, hunt those W's, weekly price charts. You know how much Brian loves his weekly W's. I do believe that there are not only are there some interesting crypto stories, try and hunt those weekly W's, but there's actually some really great stock crypto stories that I think are actually worth actually stepping up and investing in now. So there you go. Have yourselves a great holiday, post-holiday, whatever you want to call it here today. I don't know whether we're going to do a video tomorrow or not. But hey, if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. Should be a pretty quiet day. Mind you, all the markets should be open. So I'll try and put something together for you. But nonetheless, hope that helped you out. Have yourselves a great day. Hope you're having a good holiday. All the best. And the only thing left for Brian to say at this point is bye for now.